you are standing at the edge of a decision. You have thought about it long enough. The thinking is not helping you anymore. Welcome to the Stoic Compass. I am EPICTETUS, and today I am joined by Carl Jung and LAOZI. Today we are examining, what does it mean to act decisively in a situation where you genuinely cannot know if you're making the right choice? Let us begin with what is actually happening. You have a choice in front of you. You cannot verify the outcome in advance. You are waiting for certainty that is never going to arrive. And while you wait, you call it prudence. You call it careful consideration. But what it actually is, in most cases, is fear wearing a respectable disguise.
I would not dismiss the waiting so quickly. What looks like hesitation from the outside is sometimes the psyche doing necessary work. The ego wants to act, it wants the discomfort to end. But sometimes the delay is the unconscious signaling that something has not yet been faced. The person is not afraid of making the wrong choice. They are afraid of what choosing will reveal about who they are.
You are both starting in the middle of the problem. Before we talk about acting or waiting, we should ask what makes a person certain they need to decide anything at all right now. A great deal of what people call urgent decisions are only urgent because they have been held at arm's length for too long. The urgency is manufactured. It is the cost of delay, not the nature of the situation.
That is a fair observation, but it does not help the person who is standing in the middle of something that genuinely cannot wait. A general who needs to move his army at dawn cannot wait for the fog to lift. A doctor who must choose a treatment cannot wait for certainty that medicine does not offer. At some point, the situation forces the question, and you either meet it or you do not.
But Epictetus, you are describing the moment of crisis as though it arrives clean, as though the person facing it is simply a rational agent calculating options. In practice, the person brings their entire history to that moment. Their fear of failure, their need for approval, their relationship to authority, their wounds around abandonment or loss. The choice is never just about the situation. It is about who is making the choice and what is driving them underneath the surface reasoning.
Jung is pointing at something real, but I think even he is adding more weight to this than it requires. Sometimes a person hesitates not because of deep psychological material, but because they have confused a decision with a verdict. They believe that if they choose and it goes wrong, they have been proven to be a certain kind of person. That is the knot. The decision feels permanent when it is not.
The knot you are describing is also fear. We have now named it 3 different ways. Fear of the outcome, fear of self-revelation, fear of being proven wrong. None of these fears change the fact that the decision must be made. And here is what I want to press. You cannot think your way out of uncertainty. Thinking is the wrong tool for this problem. At some point, you have to trust your judgment and move. Not because you know you are right, but because staying still has its own cost, and that cost is certain.
I agree that paralysis has a cost. I am not arguing for paralysis. But there is something troubling in the phrase, trust your judgment. Whose judgment? The judgment you believe you are using, or the judgment that is actually operating? People are very poor observers of their own motivations. They trust their reasoning while being entirely governed by fear, pride, or an unconscious need to repeat a familiar pattern. I have sat with patients for years who made decisive choices, confident choices, and destroyed themselves with them. Not because they lacked courage, but because they never looked at what was actually driving them.
That is the clinical version of a much older problem. People act from a center that is not their center. They think they are choosing from stillness and clarity. But they are choosing from agitation, and they have simply learned to mistake agitation for conviction.
Then what are you both proposing? That a person should spend the night before a major decision on an analyst's couch? That they should sit quietly until they feel certain they are coming from the right place inside themselves? This is not practical. This is not available to most people in most situations. And more importantly, this still does not resolve the original question. You can have perfect self-knowledge and still face a choice with no clear answer.
The goal is not perfect self-knowledge. The goal is enough self-awareness to notice when you are being driven by something you have not examined. A moment of honest reflection, even a few minutes, can reveal whether you are choosing from clarity or from anxiety. The two feel very different when you slow down enough to notice.
Epictetus is right that the moment does not always offer that luxury, but he is wrong to use that as a reason to skip the question entirely. Most of the decisions people describe as urgent are not as urgent as they feel. The urgency is a symptom. It is worth asking once, quickly and honestly, am I moving because the situation requires it, or am I moving because I cannot stand to stay still?
That question I will accept. Ask it once, answer it honestly, then move. Because here is the thing, neither of you are saying plainly enough. The outcome is not in your control. It never was. What is in your control is the quality of the choice you make with the information and the character you actually have. A good decision made under uncertainty is not one that produces the right outcome. It is one made with clear eyes, honest reasoning, and full commitment. That is all you can offer. That is all anyone can offer.
I want to push back on full commitment for a moment. There is a kind of false commitment that is actually a refusal to remain open. The person commits so hard to having made the right choice that they cannot update when evidence comes in. They defend the choice instead of learning from what it reveals. True decisiveness is not rigidity. It is the willingness to act and then to remain honest about what follows.
That is closer to what I would say. The action is not the end of the situation. It is a move within something that is still unfolding. When you treat the decision as final, as though making it closes the question, you stop seeing. You become invested in being right, rather than in responding to what is actually happening.
I do not disagree with that. But I want to be precise about what we mean by commitment. I am not saying commit to the outcome. I am saying commit to the action. Put your full self into the choice you have made. Do not hedge it. Do not make it with one hand while keeping the other hand free to disclaim it if it fails. Half-choosing is worse than choosing wrong. It guarantees a poor result because you have given the action nothing.
Why is hedging so dangerous to you? Is it not sometimes wise to act and still acknowledge uncertainty?
Because a hedged commitment communicates to yourself and to everyone around you that you do not believe in what you are doing. And the moment you communicate that, your judgment, your execution, your follow-through, all of it degrades. The soldier who charges with doubt at his back is slower than the one who charges clean.
There is something true in that, but the image of the charging soldier is doing a lot of work. Not every decision is a charge. Some decisions are more like water finding a path. You move toward what opens. You do not force what is closed. The decisiveness is real, but it does not always look like force.
I accept the correction on the image, but I will not accept the idea that decisiveness is optional. Whatever the situation requires, it requires your whole self in the room. Not a part of you, not the part that seems least likely to be blamed if it fails.
And I will not accept the idea that examining your inner state before you act is a form of weakness or delay. The person who acts from clarity is more decisive than the person who acts quickly from confusion. Speed and decisiveness are not the same thing.
You are both circling the same thing. It is not a question of how much you examine yourself before you act, or how committed you are when you do. The real question is whether you can hold both at once. See clearly, move cleanly, and stay open to what comes back.
That is a better framing, but framing does not move you. At the end of this conversation, someone has to decide.
Yes, and what they decide will say something about them, something they may not expect.
And what comes after will say more. The decision is just one moment in something larger. What matters is how you move through all of it.
You have heard 3 people argue about the edge of the cliff. Now step up to it. Here is what no one wants to hear. You will never know in advance if you are making the right choice. That certainty is not available to you. It is not available to anyone. And the search for it, the thing you call careful thinking or due diligence or waiting until you feel ready, that search, if you are honest, is mostly a way of avoiding the discomfort of being the person who chose. You do not need more information. You need to be clear about what you actually value, what matters most in this situation, and then act from that. Not from what you think sounds right. Not from what you hope will protect you from blame. From what you actually believe is correct given what you know right now. Here is what decisive action under uncertainty actually looks like. You gather the information that is available. You are honest about what you do not know. You identify the choice that best reflects your values and your best judgment. And then you act on it fully, not halfway, not with a disclaimer attached. You own the choice. And then you stay awake to what follows, willing to update, willing to learn, unwilling to pretend you were right if you were wrong. Today, try this. Name one decision you have been circling. Write down what you actually know, what you do not know, and what you value most in this situation. Then write down the choice that follows from that, not the safest choice, the clearest one. You do not have to act on it today, but at least stop pretending you do not already know what it is. The uncertainty does not go away when you act. It was never going to go away. What changes is your relationship to it. You are no longer asking the uncertainty for permission. The question was never whether you could know. The question was whether you would choose anyway. That is the only question that was ever yours to answer. If today's conversation has served you, take it further. Pay Attention by C. Trebu, 12 Lessons in the Practice of Seeing Clearly. Available now on Amazon.